hoping that the Speaker will return with some direction as to whether they even have a quorum to proceed. There's a lot to follow for you in the House. Stay with me. When I return, I'll take you back to Parliament, where this debate has ended abruptly because the minority side has walked out. The Speaker has been forced to adjourn for 5 minutes. We'll return and get the very latest how they plan to proceed. This is Joy 99.7 FM as we follow what's happening on the floor of Parliament. Remember, this is an emergency recall of the House. There were two main items. One, the approval of $150 million, which was controversial. Indeed, the minority side rejected it. It went to a vote and they lost. The second is considering the approval of the ministers. They've already been vetted. That too is facing significant challenges with the minority side walking out. I see that the Speaker had just taken his seat. Will return pretty shortly to the House.
You were listening to me on the radio. I know exactly what you need, and I go sort you out. But first, a quick introduction. Me be the connection man. I'll make things happen. Whether it be business, fashion, or the latest trend in town, I go connect you. I know when people connect, big things they happen. I am the plug to your plug. Anything you want, I go show you where options they line them up for you. You want download or you want stream? Link up. I got you. I conquer everywhere. From circles to Kikitia. If you come out to Navrongo, Jiosu to Kita, Techima to Kumbungu. I'll be the link between you and the next big opportunity. It be me where I go connect you, make it happen. Oh, you want to know my name? I am Telecel.
Switch to Telecel for the best value voice and data services and connect to the things that matter. Connecting dreams, connecting goals, connecting passions.
Telecel, connecting energies.
December is just around the corner and our nation stands at a crossroads. Will we continue down the same path or will we forge a new one together? The choice is ours, but we need every voice to be heard. That is why the New Force is investing time and resources to educate and encourage everyone about the voters ID card registration. To all of you out there unsure if your vote matters, your voice matters. Your vote is your power and your opportunity to shape the future of our motherland. Don't let others decide for you. Don't stay silent. Get up, get out there, and get your voter's ID card today. Make sure you are ready to make a difference when the time comes. Don't delay. Act now. From the 7th to the 27th of May, and on the 30th of May, you can replace all missing ID cards. Every vote counts. Your vote, your destiny. A message from Nana Kwame Bediako and the New Force.
Hello, my name is Mami Akua, an entrepreneur and a mother of two. My work keeps me busy most of the time, and sometimes it takes me away from my family. But the safety and health of my family is very important to me. As a working mother, I cannot afford to take any chances when it comes to matters of health. That is why I signed up for a family health care plan from Equity Health Insurance. My family and I have access to over 700 hospitals, clinics, opticians, dentists, pharmacies, and diagnostic centers across the length and breadth of Ghana. With Equity Health Insurance, I no longer have to worry about medical bills. Anytime a member of my family visits a hospital, Equity Health Insurance has got my family and I covered. What about you? Who has got you covered?
Call Equity Health Insurance on 050-660-7910 and talk to them about your family health needs now. Visit equityhealthinsurance.com for more information. Equity Health Insurance, here for you.
Did you know high blood pressure can lead to stroke, kidney and heart diseases? Did you also know over 1 billion people worldwide have high blood pressure? Check and control your blood pressure if you have high blood pressure. Roll up your sleeves, go for screening, and know your numbers. Hypertension is a silent killer. Measure your blood pressure, control it, live longer. This message is sponsored by Novitas.
You're so live here on Joy 99.7 FM. We are keeping you across everything happening in Parliament tonight, where there have been a fair bit of controversy on the floor on the first subject of the approval of $150 million that the minority side rejected it on the floor. In the end, it came down to a vote and they lost. The second item had to do with the approval of the president's ministerial nominees who have been vetted, but have been placed on hold pending today's hearing. That hearing, as you may now know, became controversial. The minority side has staged a walkout. The Speaker had to adjourn the House. From what I understand, the Speaker is back now and is delivering his verdict on this particular subject. Let's go live to Parliament now.
I will appeal to the majority leader to try to wind up so I can put the question.
Mr. Speaker, you may proceed to put the question. I'm done. Thank you.
Good. Honorable members, at the conclusion of the debate, I put the question. Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House has accordingly approved the nominations of His Excellency the President of the following persons as Ministers of State and Deputy Ministers of State. In accordance with Article 78(1) and 79(1) of the 1992 Constitution, respectively. Honorable members, the ministers and deputy ministers designates are as follows. 1. Honorable Abina Osei Asare, Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance. Honorable 2, Honorable Dr. Benjamin Sechere Yeboah, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. 3, Honorable Sylvester Tete, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Information. 4, Honorable Charles Achampong, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization. 5, Honorable Adelaide Intim, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Health. 6, Honorable Alexander Akwasi Akwa, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Health. 7, Honorable Vincent Eko Asafua, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development. 8, Honorable John Kobina Abam Abua Sani, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Energy. 9, Honorable Collins Adumaku Mensah, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Energy. 10, Honorable Dr. Prince Hamidu Ama, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Works and Housing. 11, Honorable Professor Kingsley Nyaku, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Education. 12, Honorable Dr. Festus Ewa Kofi, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. 13, Honorable Akwasi Konadu, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. 14, Honorable Musa Abdulaziz Ayaba, Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development. 15, Dr. Alexander Ampabing.
And that there is a Speaker of Parliament, Evans Mensah. And just if you're just joining us, the Parliament has approved the President's ministers after that controversial walkout by the minority side. The question was put after short adjournment. On the back of that walkout, the majority side won the day because obviously the minority side were not in the House to vote on the subject. They decided not to have anything to do with that particular process, so they walked out and the majority side carried the day. So the ministers have now been approved by Parliament. The President, we're anticipating, will be swearing them in as soon as possible. We understand this could happen as early as tomorrow, so they can all take office. Their nominations have been in abeyance for quite some time now, as the minority side had haggled with the majority side over the approval because they insisted that the President should cut down the size of his government. Tonight, they walked out of the House, allowing the minority side to proceed with the consideration and subsequent approval by the House. And so if you're just joining us right now, that controversial consideration of the ministerial nominees has ended with the minority side walking out and the majority side securing a passage of that particular consideration, which means that they can now be sworn in by the President for them to take office. Now, one of the key things that we're following for you right now is the minority side are about, we understand, hold a press conference on this particular matter. We'll bring that to you pretty shortly. But earlier, there was a heated debate on the floor of Parliament around the $150 million loan that the House was also recalled to consider. This is an emergency recall of the House for those two key items now. And this was the minority for making a strong case why that particular loan should not be considered, including filing a petition with the World Bank.
For the Ministry of Health.
A better use of taxpayers' money. This is a country that is in default, a country that is in a major economic crisis. We cannot use taxpayers' money this way. Mr. Speaker, the information before us is troubling, and Mr. Speaker, indeed very worrying. Mr. Speaker, let me say this. It is about time that this House take a position against certain loans coming from the World Bank. Mr. Speaker, we should not take World Bank loans for granted, as if due diligence has been done. Mr. Speaker, this House has a responsibility to treat World Bank loan as any other loan because, Mr. Speaker, we are going to pay for it. Mr. Speaker, honestly speaking, in recent past, this House has questioned some disbursement made by the World Bank country office. Mr. Speaker, I want to serve a notice that immediately after this, I'm going to petition the World Bank country office and World Bank HQ in Washington. Because this is not the way to spend taxpayers' money. Mr. Speaker, what I've seen here is troubling. Mr. Speaker, this is prefix on certain information. Mr. Speaker, I refer you to the committee document, Annex A5. Annex A5. This is a document that was submitted to the committee during the consideration. Mr. Speaker, Annex A5 says that so far, the Ministry of Works and Housing has drawn down $127.1 million of the $200 million. $127.1 million of the $200 million, of which $65 million was used for the purposes of COVID. Mr. Speaker, first, let me put on record that this House, the government of the day, has not accounted to this House on COVID expenditures. Mr. Speaker, this House rather constituted a committee for the committee to investigate the COVID expenses. Mr. Speaker, again, Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General's report has been laid before us, and it's yet to be considered by the committee on the Public Account Committee. Mr. Speaker, aside the 65 million, if you are to deduct the 65 million from the 127 million, Mr. Speaker, approximately $62 million had gone into the account of the Ministry of Works and Housing. But, Mr. Speaker, strangely, Annex 2 of the document, the Ministry of Works and Housing can only account for $34.3 million. So where is the rest of the money? In which account is the rest of the money sitting? Mr. Speaker, it is only $34.3 million that I have seen some level of, they said that they paid consultancy fee, $200,000, goods, 1.2 million. They have grants to MDAs and all. So far, Mr. Speaker, the only one that we can say that they have provided some expenditure returns is $34.3 million. Mr. Speaker, where is the remaining $30 million? And what did you use the money for? Mr. Speaker, these are serious questions. Mr. Speaker, we are also told that about $42 million was used to dredge the Odo River. 42. Mr. Speaker, $42 million was used to dredge the Odo River. How? Mr. Speaker, 42 million. And we've seen the Odo River in this current state. Mr. Speaker, this is not a proper use of taxpayers' money. Mr. Speaker, the NDC minority will vote against this loan. Mr. Speaker, we are not stopping at the voice vote. We will count the heads today because we cannot support this loan. Mr. Speaker, this loan should not be entertained. All of us as a House, Mr. Speaker, must reject this loan. Mr. Speaker, I heard the minister responsible for finance giving assurances that we should give him for him to go and investigate and come back to us in 2 months' time. But right, Honorable Speaker, the minister responsible for finance assured us not long ago that he's going to come back to us on tax waivers. Mr. Speaker, to date, he has not come back to us. Mr. Speaker, to date, we are still waiting on him. Mr. Speaker, I cannot take his word. I cannot take his word for me to change my position. Mr. Speaker, in this occasion, this particular IDA loan from the World Bank, all of us, Mr. Speaker, must reject this loan. Because, Mr. Speaker, clearly, Ghana does not need to approve this loan. Mr. Speaker, the $200 million that we approved earlier has been misappropriated. Clearly, Mr. Speaker, it has been misappropriated. Mr. Speaker, at best, it has been misapplied. Mr. Speaker, the evidence is there for all of us. But I only want to plead with this House, Mr. Speaker, please let's commit part of Parliament's budget to commission a forensic audit on this matter. Mr. Speaker, I plead that let us commit part of Parliament's budget to commission a forensic audit on the usage of this $200 million. Mr. Speaker, this cannot continue. This cannot continue. And Mr. Speaker, in this occasion, I urge the MPP majority to stand with the people of Ghana and reject this loan. Because, Mr. Speaker, the loan has been misapplied. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I wish to say that the NDC minority will oppose this loan vehemently.
And so they did. But the minority side decided then to raise a key question for the Speaker to allow them to vote on this particular matter. Before then, though, we heard from the Finance Minister himself, Mohammed Amin Adam, who was on the floor. He mounted a vehement defense of this particular loan, $150 million that you've just heard the minority leader say he's going to be petitioning the World Bank on. He says they will render full account if Parliament gives them that go-ahead to take the money to borrow from the World Bank.
I want to correct an impression that was created by the minority leader, as if to say that we are not accounting properly for the spending on these projects. The drawdown facility, the drawdown as of August 2023, as captured on this report, is different from the one he stated. The drawdown as of August 2023 amounted to $177 million and not $127 million. And the drawdown comprises $92 million for component, $42.2 million for component 2, $58.8 million for component 3, and $7 million for component 4. Apart from this, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to correct the second impression that I did not come back to Parliament with a report on the exemption. And that is why he's calling on the minority not to support that. Mr. Speaker, if you recall, when I made that appeal to this House, I invited the minority leader to submit to me the companies he had challenges with, and I will review those applications and then come back to this House with a report. My brother, the minority leader, up to now, has not submitted to me the companies or the applications he had challenges with. And so I'm still inviting you to submit those companies. And I'm very happy to review them, and I will report appropriately to this House. And so, Mr. Speaker, I still want to appeal to this House to approve this facility, and I will make sure I work with the responsible ministries to ensure that the money is spent well. Every city that is spent on this project will be accounted for. We also have our own system. The Auditor General will audit. The World Bank, I am surprised people are questioning the World Bank. The World Bank has its own systems of evaluating projects. They have their own due diligence systems. They have their own way of auditing projects. And if you have challenges with the World Bank, I believe they can talk for themselves. But we will make sure that this money is spent and spent wisely for the benefit of our people.
And it came down to a vote, and they lost on that $150 million loan facility they attempted to reject, which is the minority side. The majority side won the day, and it went on to the ministerial nominees. And if you're just joining us, that has also been approved by the House. It follows the walkout by the minority side. And from what I'm learning now, the minority side, after walking out on the consideration of the ministerial nominees, they have returned to the chamber. But why? My parliamentary correspondent will join us pretty shortly to explain. There's a lot happening on the floor of Parliament tonight. It is an emergency recall of the House, and there's been some drama already. A walkout in the last 20 minutes. They are back on the floor of Parliament already. Kweku, what's happening there? Why are they back on the floor of Parliament?
Well, the business that they were opposed to having to do with the ministerial nominees have not been taken out. They insist that the decision Parliament has taken is unconstitutional because Parliament did not have a quorum. Remember, the first vote on the $175 million loan, $150 million loan, I should say, showed that the minority had 137 MPs on the floor. They insist that that means, per the decision in Justice Abdullahi and the quorum that Parliament needs, that is 138, Parliament does not have that. But there's also a major decision that is to be taken that the minority have always been opposed for months now. The reason why more than $400 million in tax waivers have not been approved in Parliament is because the minority have been blocking it. It is part of the reasons why the majority have called for this emergency session. The three of them, the first two have been taken care of, and the waivers are now being debated and a vote going to be taken. The minority's position is that the Finance Committee, which has been considering this, have not been able to decide on whether or not it is proper to award more than $400 million in tax waivers. And so they want to be on the floor and be counted because they believe that if they are outside, despite having concerns that the House will not have a quorum, the House will probably go ahead and grant these tax waivers. These companies will then go ahead to the ports and other things and clear materials and products without paying the requisite duties. The state will lose. By the time a legal battle would have ended, the state will not be able to recover those amounts of money. And that is why they are back on the floor to make their votes count. I've just heard the Member of Parliament for Yape Kuswagu, John Jinapo, making that early point for the minority.
And Kweku, as you talk to me, I see that the finance minister is on his feet right now, about to debate this particular issue. Another very controversial one indeed, $400 million worth of tax waivers. Let's go live now to Parliament. This is the finance minister, Mohammed Amin Adam.
It's not all the applications that they had challenges with. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to recommend to the committee that we bring those that do not have challenges with, so that we can consider them. And those with challenges, I will work with the Minister for Trade and Industry to correct those issues, and then we bring them back later. And I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, we discussed this matter thoroughly this morning at Conclave, and we arrived at the understanding that the majority leader and the minority leader will lead in identifying those items that don't have much challenges, and that will be referred to the committee to consider and report back to this House so that we could take that one through. We don't have any report from the committee, and so we cannot proceed without the report. That was the agreement in the morning. So I don't understand why we are going a different tangent. Please. We were told that the negotiations, which was not conclusive, was looking at between 10 to 15 companies that I'm told don't have much challenges, or they say are safe and can be handled. But it's the committee that will take the final decision and report to the House. Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I'm the immediate past ranking member of the Finance Committee, Mr. Speaker, and still a member of the Finance Committee. Mr. Speaker, the Finance Committee met on these tax waivers last Wednesday. The members from your side, the majority side, only 3 people attended the meeting, whilst about 8 members of the minority side attended. And the Honorable Abina Osei-Asare was at the meeting. We encountered a number of headwinds to the extent that we had to stand it down. This morning, Mr. Speaker, again, the Finance Committee met. Mr. Speaker, at the time that I went to the meeting, the majority leader himself was at the meeting, together with the almighty Osei Mensah, and the deputy majority leader was at the meeting too. Mr. Speaker, I was there. At that meeting, we started the consideration of the 42 tax waivers. Mr. Speaker, the first one was shut down unanimously because, Mr. Speaker, it was obvious that it is riddled with a lot of irregularities to the extent that we could not continue. Mr. Speaker, they brought the second one. We shut it down again unanimously. It was at that point when we move on to the third one that the committee decided collectively that in view of the detailed work that we have to do, let us refer the matter to the finance. Let us ask the Finance Committee to engage in serious work after today, so that by the time we are back, the Finance Committee can present reports. Mr. Speaker, I am at a loss. A government that is struggling with the fiscal, a government that is struggling with revenue, is only interested in eroding the taxes with tax waivers. I'm at a loss. What at all do you want this tax exemption for? Mr. Speaker, unless there's something there that I don't understand, other than that, Mr. Speaker, I smell something fishy. Mr. Speaker, it can't be right. It can't be right for the government that is interested in protecting revenue to be only interested in eroding the revenue. What at all are you telling us? Mr. Speaker, let this House allow the Finance Committee to do its work. Mr. Speaker, we will do our work. We will do the work and report to the House. Mr. Speaker, what is good, we will approve it. But what is wrong, unanimously, we will reject it. Let's allow the Finance Committee to do their work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, please. This matter back to the Finance Committee. Go and scrutinize the earlier referrals. Do a good job. Present a report. Definitely, in principle, if we have to waive or exempt taxes, we will do so in the interest of the country and our economy. And we discussed all this in the morning, and that was the understanding. So please, members, could we take a bow for today? I've been seated here from morning. When I was a young MP, I used to advise my father, Right Honourable Peter Lajete, not to be sitting for long hours. Now I'm trapped in the same thing. And the young ones will also advise me. I should not be, I don't want to end the way he ended. So please, let's adjourn and go and do a good job. Bring the report. We'll work on it. Please, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I want to make my final comment on this matter. Mr. Speaker, these referrals started in 2021. We made further referrals 2022. as far back as 2023 June, further referrals were made. Mr. Speaker, if the minority leader today says that the finance committee should be allowed to do a job, my question is, all these years, Mr. Speaker, we are in 2024. We should back our actions in good faith. And nobody should be under the impression that Parliament as plenary cannot function without committees. Nobody should be under that impression, Mr. Speaker. It is true that we work through committees for effectiveness and efficiency. But it doesn't mean that when a committee is unduly being unreasonable, plenary cannot take action. Mr. Speaker, that must be clear. That is why I challenge them that anybody with a constitutional provision that prevents the House as a plenary from taking a matter up should tell me so that I rest my case. Mr. Speaker, you've given advice. I would want to urge the minority leader, Mr. Speaker, he has been loud on this matter that I'm against tax exemption. And anytime he talks about tax exemption, he creates the impression as if the government does not know what it's doing. When you give incentives, you are aiding production. I'm not an economist, but that is trite economics. That is trite economics. You are giving tax incentive to aid production. When the businessman has enough, he's able to invest that into the business. And that is the law, and that is the practice. Mr. Speaker, I would encourage them that the non-contentional ones that they say they have, they should make them available and deal with it. Mr. Speaker, this is becoming too much. Mr. Speaker, give them a deadline. They had all this opportunity, Mr. Speaker. I won't have the. I'm speaking with a lot of pain. I don't want to get into certain areas. But since 20th of March, I've been urging on them. When are you meeting? When are you meeting? When are you meeting? And then you now say that you couldn't form a quorum and all that. Mr. Speaker, we should suspend sitting. The members of the finance committee are here. I am a member. Let's go and deal with the non-conventional ones and come back. Let's go and we'll suspend sitting today. Let's go and deal with the non-conventional ones and come back. What we're doing is wrong, Mr. Speaker. All these years, what have we done? And then you say we should be giving more time. We won't give you more time. There is nothing fishy except that we cannot mislead investors to come into our country only to frustrate them. Mr. Speaker, we cannot. And we shouldn't encourage that as a house. People invest their capital, Mr. Speaker. Investors come into the country, set up factories. We encourage them to come and only for us to frustrate them. Why? Mr. Speaker, why? Our people are not being employed because they have not completed their factories. People are sitting at home and we should entertain that. Mr. Speaker, no way. It's unfair. The way we are dealing with this is unfair. There's no need for any help. What you are doing is wrong.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to comment on this serious issue. Mr. Speaker, I'm forced to speak with pain. And Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking with pain because lawyers have decided to throw away the very constitution which created this house. Mr. Speaker, I listened to the leader of the house very well.
And you're still live on Joy 99.7 FM. We are bringing you the live coverage from Parliament. Parliament is currently debating the passage or approval of $400 million worth of tax waivers. The minority side is opposed to it. The majority side is definitely in support of it. The decision that they were pushing for is that the House adjourn so the committee responsible for finance will go and consider it properly because there are two items on it that they disagree on. In fact, the minority leader told the House that when they met in the morning, the first two companies that the government is proposing to give tax waivers to, they struck them out because there were obvious challenges with it. And the agreement was that the Finance Committee should return and do a better job on the remainder of the 42 companies and return with a comprehensive report for consideration. That is now a subject of some controversy. We've heard the Speaker express the view that they should actually return. The majority side does not want that to happen. We'll keep a close eye on what is unfolding. We'll take a break here. When we do so, you can join us on the Joy News channel, also across our many social media platforms on Facebook, also on YouTube, where we are bringing you continuous coverage of what is happening on the floor. You've seen the drama unfolding since morning. The Speaker himself was just a short while ago complaining about the fact that he's been seated since morning. They've done two controversial issues already. The second one on the ministerial nominees, the minority guys walked out. On the first subject of $150 million loan, it went to a vote and they lost. It is our anticipation that this last item, the approval or otherwise of the $400 million tax waiver, may also go down to a vote. And you can follow all that on the Joy News channel across our social media platforms too, here on Joy News, but on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll take a quick break. After the commercials, we will give you a quick update on what is likely to happen. My colleague will join me from Parliament just to give us what to expect as we hand you over to Joy News and across our social media platforms.
When you want to eat,